You're back again. Welcome back, folks. Here, Michael Cohen, Sports Talk Nation. Yes, we're going on the road again as we are going to head back to Jets training camp. As we are making our way back, it is a new time, new era. Aaron Glenn, of course, the head coach. Will Justin Fields be on the field? Of course, had that toe injury, was now day-to-day. Now Jet fans are ready to jump off a cliff. Just the other day, of course, chances are he probably won't practice today, but the good news is it's just a dislocated toe, a small toe. He'll be fine back in a couple of days. So we're heading out to Jets training camp, and you're coming along. All right, everybody, Michael Cohen here with you, Sports Talk Nation. We are kicking off our NFL training camp coverage finally. We are finally getting to it, folks. The Jets training camp was out there this morning, in fact, to see the Jets practice here in 2025. And you know what? I got to say this right off the bat. I am blown away by what I'm seeing from this head coach and Aaron Glenn. Look, I don't know how this is going to all pan out when it's all said and done. 3 years from now, 5 years from now, I have no idea. But I will say this. There is an absolute change, a total shift in culture and in attitude that Aaron Glenn has brought to the table here with the New York Jets. You can see it in the way practice is really performed. For that matter, lack of a better phrase, as we saw this morning, it's crisp. It's physical. Guys are driven. There's really no wasted time. Guys aren't standing around waiting to do something. There's no hands on hips. Guys are out there and they are ready to rock and roll. And that's really a difference from what I saw. I remember even during the Robert Saleh era. And I remember being out there even a couple years ago, last year, during the Aaron Rodgers era, and you see guys, coming out late and slowly making their way onto the field, and it was very, very calm, very relaxed. This is intense. As soon as people are filing into the grandstands and getting into their seats, these guys are out there ready to rock and roll. Obviously, they didn't have full pads on. They're not ready to do that just yet. They will do that starting this upcoming week when we get to more physical, the second week of training camp and get more physical in training camp. But these guys are ready to rock and roll. And there's really no wasted time. There's no wasted motion in what I'm seeing here in camp. And that's really what stands out for me. And it goes to really what Aaron Glenn has been preaching more of a focus on discipline, a focus on getting this team really back to a old school standard. And you keep hearing talk about what Glenn went through as a player here with the New York Jets when he was, coached by guys like Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, even Pete Carroll, who drafted him back in 1994, kind of a real old school mentality. And you saw it even here in his practice on Saturday. When's the last time you can remember the Jets having the Oklahoma drill? The last time I remember any NFL team having the Oklahoma drill was like more than 20 years ago, and I'm sure it's happened, here on and off since with other teams. But I remember when there was a huge feature with the Washington Redskins because people were like, oh my God, Marty Schottenheimer did the Oklahoma drill and it's too physical. I remember people getting upset about that a long time ago. So to see that and to see really it used, and he was even asked about that, Aaron Glenn, by Judy Batista, the NFL Network, about, hey, look, you had the Oklahoma drill, let's talk about that. And he was talking about it from the finesse standpoint of having one-on-one matchups where you're trying to get your players ready to either avoid tackles or make tackles in space. And that is a huge part of the game that kind of gets lost and kind of gets forgotten. Especially you see it too many times in NFL where you see guys fail in one-on-one matchups in space, especially by the Jets over the last several years under Robert Saleh, and before that, obviously, under Adam Gase. Let's not even go there, but you get the point. So to have that kind of real attention to detail is really refreshing. And just some of the things he says, even, the standpoint of having officials back on the field. And you saw a couple of plays today where officials threw flags and had an opportunity to explain to players what the expectation is from the officials. That is a big difference, and officials haven't been around camp over the last couple of years. So there's a real shift in the culture, in the mentality, to focus in on fundamentals, and that's really what we're seeing here from the first couple of practices here for the New York Jets here in training camp. Now, I'm going to play a little bit of audio for you. Just listen to this. I mean, here's a clip here when he's talking about the expectations of camp and the expectations for his players. You just sense just the difference right here. Let's take a listen to that.
And that's what we plan on doing, like every day. I mean, the nature of what we need to be is a highly competitive team. And listen, our guys look forward to that. And they know that's the expectations anyway. And if you can't live up to that, it's going to be hard to be a part of what we're trying to build. So, but I will tell you this, we have a locker room full of men that really want that. And it's good to see. And you see how guys, they jump up. We have some guys that we want to see go against each other. Then other guys just jump up because they want to be a part of it. So, it's always good to see that. The thing is, and I said this yesterday, I don't have to tell guys to giddy up and go. Like, guys are just going because they want to be a part of it.
There you have it right there. Guys know what they want to accomplish, and they want to be part of this program, and it's being a much more physical camp than we have seen in quite some time. And as I said, very fluid and very crisp. Now, another big headline here is this. Justin Fields is back on the field. 7-on-7 in drills for Fields, and he looked really, really sharp. He was 8 for 8 in the drills. He had that beautiful pass down the middle of the field to Tyler Johnson. He looks like he is ready to rock and roll. Even Aaron Glenn said that he has to kind of hold Fields back a little bit because he just wants to go out there and make plays and make things happen. Now, obviously the other day, the toe injury heard around the world that sent all Jet fans into a complete and utter panic. This is one reason why I usually wait on things like this, because especially when it comes to releasing videos and stuff like that, because the initial reaction from fans is, oh no, here we go again. Another injury to a quarterback. Here we go again. Aaron Rodgers, reflections to Aaron Rodgers back from 2 years ago. Vinny Testaverde more than 20, 25 years ago in 1999 of losing a quarterback for an extended period of time. Fortunately, it's only going to be for a few days where he's not going to be participating in 11-11, but he did take part in 7-7, and as I said, he looks crisp as Justin Fields, and that is a good sign. He's moving around very well on that foot, and he looks like he's ready to rock and roll. Tyrod Taylor didn't do badly, though, in his stead with the first team. He had some nice throws. One individual in particular that he had a pretty good connection with is Josh Reynolds, wide receiver, veteran receiver. Look, the Jets are looking for who's going to be that number 2 receiver behind Garrett Wilson. Is it going to be a Josh Reynolds? Does Alan Lazard have a place in this team? They're looking to find out who's that number 2 guy. And Johnson had probably the best catch of the day, certainly the best throw of the day in 11-on-11 when Tyrod Taylor hit him in the breadbasket right in the hands for a catch down the sideline very early in practice. That was a good play. He also had a nice play on the sideline where Tyler Taylor had to roll out. Good pass rush by Will McDonald. More on him in just a minute. And then he was there to make that catch. So there's some players here that are just kind of standing out. Even Xavier Gibson stood out a little bit as far as the offense is concerned. But really, you have to feel that the defense, I felt, was kind of a little bit ahead of the offense. That's really no surprise at this point early in camp. Will McDonald was really the star of the show. He was getting in on a lot of plays and disrupting a lot of plays in the backfield. And Connor Hughes of SNY actually asked Aaron Glenn, you can hear in the press conference, he says, he seems faster, does Will McDonald. Seems faster than he was a year ago. What has changed? And Aaron Glenn said just very simply, coaching. And that's a huge difference. And this is not it is kind of throwing let's just be honest. Let's just throw Robert Saleh and that coaching staff under the bus. You just sense right now that there is more attention to detail at this point. And we'll see how this is going to build up over the course of camp, over the course of games, preseason games, regular season when we get there. But there's more of an attention to detail than we have seen. Players are buying in. Some guys who, maybe didn't get the big contract that Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson got, i.e. Breece Hall, playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and sometimes that's actually a good thing for a player to go out there and kind of show what they can do, what they're worth. And certainly someone like a Breece Hall could have a big year. Brilliant Allen could also have a big year as well coming out of that backfield. He had a nice catch and run down the sideline. Another guy who stood out, a couple other guys that stood out, obviously on the defensive side, as Thomas had a pick in practice on the second team. And, of course, Sauce Gardner looks like a totally different player. More physical. He's starting to have more of a presence as far as tackling. That's been his big knock in him the last couple of years, has been a tackling and also attacking the ball. Starting to do that a little bit more. When you're learning under a guy like Aaron Glenn and also Steve Wilks, the defensive coordinator, that's their forte. Their second guys who are coaching the secondary. Of course, Aaron Glenn, one of the best cornerbacks in the league as a player during his time, had 41 interceptions as a player. Starting to get through to Sauce Gardner, and you're starting to see that, and also with that Oklahoma drill, Gardner beat Garrett Wilson, in that Oklahoma drill that we saw earlier in practice today. So I'm impressed by what I saw. I really am. I think this is a team. Now, look, I don't know what this is going to turn into as far as wins and losses, and we're very early in the camp. It's only 1 week into camp, as we know. But there are encouraging signs that this thing is turning around. I will leave you with this. And I'm going to play just the audio clip here, just a little bit of audio here of an interview that Glenn did at the end of practice with the NFL Network, where they asked him about the Jet fan and the history of the franchise, which has always been kind of a moribund history. And he really talks about how when Bill Parcells came here, it changed the culture. And that's really the difference here. And there's also a tweet out there that Glenn still talks to and still has communication with Parcells every week.
Bill Parcells comes in, and we ran the town of New York. So I know exactly how it is, number one, to be a Jet and to be able to run this town. And I want the fans to get that feeling back. And I want the media to get that feeling back. I want the players that hasn't experienced that, especially being here in New York City and playing for the Jets. I want those guys to feel exactly what I had a chance to feel, because there's no better feeling in the world, especially in this place. Especially in this place, to be able to win, to be able to have an organization that's kicking it on all cylinders.
Bill Parcells still has the ear of Aaron Glenn, and you know what? That's a good thing. Throwing it back to really was the standard of the Jet era back in the late 90s, 2000s. Parcells, man, if Aaron Glenn can get it back to that kind of play, that kind of physical play, where they're going out there and physically opposing their will on teams, then this could be a very surprising season for the Jets moving forward. We'll see how it plays out. Like and subscribe. We got a long way to go, folks. We'll talk to you next time. Next video we'll do some baseball, because we're getting close to the trade deadline. Apparently the Yankees are having a hard time. Aaron Judge now on the injury list for a couple of weeks with an injury to his elbow. And the Yankees right now remember how people were slamming dunking on the Mets, saying the Mets have been playing badly. Yankees are 14-23 since June 13th. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about how the Mets have been playing a little bit better. But that's another video coming up next time. But as far as the Jets are concerned, like and subscribe. Stay tuned, folks. We've got more content coming right here on Sports Talk Nation.